wajo yenwe wona wayo yenya koswa wona waye wado ye doso enyeyen enyeyen wonya me nyonyam kaudi eche wasitani enyeyen wona wayo ohine ayeni enyeyen wona wayo yetsia wado yenwe wona waye yenya koswa wona waye wado ye doso enyeyen enyeyen wonya me nyonyam kaudi eche wasitani enyeyen wona wayo ohine ayeni enyeyen wona wayo yenya koswa eye wado chega wona koswa shirayen shirayen eche enyeyen wonya me nyonyam kaudi eche wasitani enyeyen wona waye ayeni enyeyen wona wayo yenya kosu shirayen
Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Time with the Youth. Today we'll be having our third installment in the series of temperaments. 2 weeks ago, we began a talk on temperaments and how they affect relationships. We started with the basics in the first week. Last week, we looked at how temperaments affect romantic relationships. And today, we are going into work life and family life. With me today, we have one of our very own, Joan Soribang. She's a clinical health psychologist. You're welcome, Joan.
Thank you very much.
Joan will be helping us to discuss the questions that have been sent in the course of last week and this week, so that at the end of this session, we'll know how to navigate our work and family life in terms of our temperaments. We've had a lot of questions over the week, and so we're going to take them one after the other, and then by way of discussing them, we'll be answering and then also doing what is necessary, doing justice to the topic. So we'll begin with the first topic. The first question. Do children inherit or copy their parents' temperaments? Is it hereditary? Is it a thing I will pick up from my parents, my temperament?
Yes, temperament actually is something we are born with. Okay, we don't copy or learn from others, unlike maybe personality, some traits of personalities where we might learn or pick up from others. When it comes to temperament, that is just like the height we have, the inherited height, your skin color. We inherit all those things from our parents. So temperament is something that we also inherit. We don't learn, although you could probably refine it somehow, but it can't be changed as something that you are just born with.
Okay. So whose temperament do I pick? I have my mom, I have my dad. If I'm picking a temperament, whose one am I most likely to pick?
So you pick from both parents actually.
Okay.
It's like your height. You get some traits from your dad's side, some from your mom's side. So it's similar to the temperament. Okay, you don't get from just one parent, and you get from both sides. of your parents. Yeah. So
So, if my parents are extreme opposites, like a melancholic and then a sanguine, then what happens to me? Will I have a temperament that is in between, or I'll be on one end of the chart or the other end?
hmm. So when it comes to temperament, we have the dominant, okay,
Okay.
and we have the others. The others. So one person could actually have a combination of say three temperaments. One will be dominant, okay. So to determine, you could have parents maybe giving birth to children with say maybe melancholy, maybe they are choleric, sanguine, sort of, and you could have children having traits of temperament, melancholic or even phlegmatic. Okay, so you can't. It's not easy to determine. Okay, but just like parents giving birth to children with different heights, different weight, it could happen that they could give birth to children with different temperament combinations. That's how it works.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Another question that came in. I seem to be the only extrovert in my family, and this makes me the weird one. Do I conform to my family temperament or continue to be me? And how can I deal with associated conflicts between myself and my family?
That's a difficult.
Interesting one.
Yeah, interesting. Um, so find yourself in a family where you are the only extrovert. That is going to be a bit difficult because extroverts are the types who want to. They are more sociable, outspoken, outgoing, and all of that. So if you find yourself in with a family where everybody or the rest of the family members are more introverted, that's going to be difficult. But it doesn't mean you have to change to become like them. You can't even do that. You could probably force yourself or try to be like that, but it wouldn't work out for you so well. It will be you have lots of internal conflicts going on for yourself. So it's best to be yourself and find appropriate ways of resolving certain conflicts. If there's a clash of personalities, say you are living with people who are introverted and you are extroverted, definitely there will be times when there'll be conflicts because of different ways of going about things. So to handle conflicts, it means you have to speak their language, sort of. So if you happen to find yourself being the extroverted type, um, you are likely to express your emotions, unlike the introverts. Introverts will probably keep things to themselves. And then also good expressing whatever it is going on with them. So if you want to resolve some conflict, you need to be able to listen to them, okay? Be patient and calm. When you go attacking them, you can also make them withdraw. Okay, so if you happen to find yourself in that situation and you need to resolve some conflict, try to be patient, try to be calm, and speak plainly to them. Okay, don't go about trying to accuse them or being defensive. That's you might rather push them away, and you might not be able to resolve the issues. Okay, so there's no need for you to change yourself. You can't even do that. You'll be lying to yourself if you try that. Mm.
Okay. Unfortunately, where we are from, when there's a different child in a group of siblings, we tend to call that child the black sheep of the family. What if over here the extrovert is being antagonized? Everyone is saying that, look at your siblings, look at your brother, how calm they are. You're always jumping around the place. How will I deal with this conflict? Because even if I try and understand them, they have already branded me as the black sheep. So how do I go about that?
That's usually the difficulty when it comes to personality or temperament. There isn't much understanding there. Most people don't understand that. And so there's usually that challenge where one person is painted the black sheep of the family. Okay, so in that case, there's a need for education, okay, and acceptance. If the family sees you to be a certain way and they don't understand you, that you can try to explain to them, okay, that this is actually who you are, this is your temperament, okay, and maybe perhaps they will come to accept you for who you are. But if that is not done, if they don't come to accept you, you can also accept yourself, okay. Basically, you need to accept yourself who you are, and then maybe leave the rest to the others. If they will accept you, fine.
Okay. So this is why we are studying this. We are not just studying this for ourselves only. We want the education to be out there. So share this video with your friends, with your parents. It's not only for the youth. Send it to your mom, your dad, so that they understand what's going on and that you are not just the black sheep. It is something called temperament. Our next question. What is the best way? So we are moving into the work field now. What is the best way to work with a colleague who is a busybody? Now, I don't know what busybody here means, but I'm going to try and guess. And I think it will mean someone who is a bit all over the place. We locally, I think we'll say that opera, someone who is always eager to do things and outshine you and take all the glory, I guess. I don't know if I'm getting this right, but what's the best way to work with someone who is a busybody, who is always cutting into you? So you're in a meeting and you're trying to make your presentation and the person jumps in before you do. When these things happen at the corporate level, it makes it seem as if you don't know what you're about. So if you have one of these people in your office, your workplace, how do you navigate working with them?
So when you have people like that, I think to tell them you can approach the person privately and talk to the person about it, especially if the person might not be aware. It might be a trait from the temperament. It could be that that's just how the person is. But if the person is doing it intentionally, of course, if you do approach the person privately, maybe and you bring out certain points, maybe evidence, the person probably will listen to you. Okay. So maybe such a person, you could just try to talk to him privately, not in public, or otherwise he could be defensive. All right. If it happens to be, say, as a result of his temperament, say somebody who's a sanguine and is all over the place, that might be a bit difficult for the person to change. But then if you come to that understanding, and that's how the person is, you also learn how to adjust, okay, and probably just give him room to also operate and find better ways of also doing your own things. Okay.
Okay, so this brings us back to our nature versus nurture conversation. So your temperament is your nature. In as much as it is who you are, you can nurture it to be something else. So hopefully the person you are working with is open to discussion and hoping that he or she can get better. The next question, dealing with people you work with, how do you confront them on their work ethic? Does the mode of confrontation depend on the temperament?
Okay, so confronting people is not always easy to do. Some people it might come easy, maybe if the person is a choleric. It could be so easy for such a person to do that. But if, say, the fellow is a sanguine or even melancholic, it's going to be very difficult for such a person to confront fellow workers. Okay, so it could also, to go about it, you probably have to study the person's temperament, the person's mood, the person's personality, so that you don't end up offending the person. Of course, if you go about it in that way, the person is likely to listen to you and maybe try to meet you halfway to make the needed adjustments. But if you go, say if you are choleric and you approach somebody who is a phlegmatic, you are likely to rather push the person or make the person withdraw from you. Okay, so yes, you need to study the person's temperament, know the person's temperament, the person's personality, the mood, okay, before you go about confronting the person on some of these things.
Okay. What if you are dealing with someone who doesn't accept that this is how I am? You have a poor or a bad work ethic and someone is complaining or someone is raising that issue up and you don't see it. What if the person you are addressing doesn't even see a problem with how he or she is behaving or working? Then what do you do?
So it means the person might not be too emotionally intelligent to understand that this is what he's going through. it might the person might need more education, and those of you working with him will have to exercise more patience with the person. It could be that the person, either the way you are going about it, the person doesn't get to you, the language you're speaking, the person doesn't get to you, or maybe the way you approach the person makes the person just sort of close the ears to you. So if you really want the person to listen to you, either you change your tone or the way you approach the person about it.
Okay.
Maybe then the person will listen to you.
Okay.
But if you try all that and it doesn't work, then maybe you have to look for other reasons, other solutions.
Okay. So it looks like everyone has to learn a bit of psychology in addition to whatever they do. I hate being ordered about, but as a subordinate and employee, how do I manage this without hurting my boss?
So you hate being ordered about,
Okay.
okay, but if you find yourself as a subordinate, it's likely that definitely you'll be ordered about by your superiors. If there is a particular issue, maybe if you find that whoever is ordering about, you don't, maybe there's some bit of a clash there in terms of personality or even temperament, maybe you can find a way around it. Okay. But if it's just being ordered about, maybe you don't like authority. If that's the case, then that means there's a problem there that you need to work on. Okay.
How about if personally the person is a choleric and is also meeting a boss who is a choleric? So maybe that's what is causing the tension.
After
Then
that,
how do you ease that?
so it to me then, if you are aware that this is who you are and that's who your boss is, then you need to make certain adjustments. You need to exercise patience. You need to maybe move out of the environment for some time to cool down and come back. Okay. But if you're subordinate and you're choleric and your boss is also a choleric, definitely there will be that clash. Even though you probably understand each other best, but it's be difficult because each one wants to be in control.
Yeah.
So there will be that difficulty. So if you're subordinate, what do? You need to make certain adjustments.
Remember, there's only one boss, so you have to pack your cholerism aside. Okay. How do you adjust to a social working environment while you are very calm? So, a melancholic who works, for example, at a nightclub, how does the person go about it?
Well, if you do find yourself in such an environment, a work environment, there are strengths and weaknesses to all the temperaments. So why don't you develop your strength? Look out for your strengths. If you haven't identified them, identify them and develop them and use those strengths to help you in your work. Even though it might be a place where you naturally wouldn't want to find yourself, you can still make it work. Okay, so you can look at that.
Okay. Focus on your strengths. Okay. How do I cope with my boss's mood swings? I enjoy being served, but I hate being asked the same thing over and over. How do I manage? I don't know if the question is too clear. Let's break it down into two parts. How do I cope with my boss's mood swings?
Okay, so you happen to find work with a boss who would probably have mood swings. First of all, are you the cause of the mood swings? Are you the one who triggered it? If not, don't take it too personal. Okay, it might just be a trait. Melancholics tend to have mood swings a lot. Okay, so if your boss is that type, then and it's not you are not the cause of his mood swings, don't take it personally.
But what if it's affecting you? He's angry, so he's shouting at you. He's sad, so he's withdrawn. He's not giving you the feedback that you need. Then what would you do? Because this is affecting you, and this is how you make your money.
Yeah, so in that case, you also need to study yourself, know yourself. If you are also a melancholic, you are likely to also start experiencing what your boss is experiencing because melancholics tend to um, they are very sensitive to other people's emotions. So you find yourself with a boss like that, you are likely to also start experiencing the mood swings. So you can just move away all right, and maybe lessen your interaction with him until he's better. Okay. The other temperament type can also find good ways of handling him. So best of all, you have to study him. You know his part. You know a pattern. You see a trend. That is usually what causes him to get into this mood. So when you see that, you start having some sort of a coping strategy for yourself, so you can also protect yourself from his mood swings. And then you can probably stay away for some time until he's better, and then you can interact with him again. Yeah.
Okay. I don't you think it would just be safe for a melancholic, for example, to avoid working with human beings? If I know that I'm very moody, then maybe I should get into a field where I have to interact with maybe computers or just my books. If I'm an accountant, it's just the money and the book and pen. And then I'm safer there. Isn't it a better option than putting myself out there and having to navigate all this emotional turmoil every day of the week?
That's why it's advisable that before you choose a career path, you know your temperament. Okay, if you know, then you can choose the path, career path that will work for you. But in case you didn't do that and you find yourself in an environment that is more interactive than you wanted, then you also have to make certain adjustments. You know yourself, you take certain breaks, you take short breaks so you can recharge and then come back to be the people. Um, Melancholics tend to work alone. They work best when they are alone, but you can't always find yourself in, you can't always get that. So what do? You try to make certain adjustments.
Okay. So if you are watching us and you haven't already picked a career path, please factor your temperament into it so that you don't have to slave or dislike the job that you do eventually. However, if you're already working, then you just have to make adjustments. Thank you. Our next question. I like being at the background, but I am a relationship officer or customer service officer. How do I combine my job and temperament and come out best? I am a good teacher, by the way.
So it all comes down to knowing who you are, your strengths, and your weaknesses. Okay, so you want to be in the background, but then in your work, you have to be out there, probably solving people's problems or interacting with people almost all the time. So in that case, know your strength, okay, and develop them, and make sure that you use your strength to help you enhance your work. Okay. So depending on your if you're melancholic or you're phlegmatic, you have your strength. Know them and then use them to work.
Okay. But I find this a bit confusing. If someone likes to teach, doesn't it mean the person likes interacting with other people?
Some people will like to teach all right, but maybe not too much interaction. Okay, they enjoy giving information, but maybe when it comes to interacting with people, they're not so good at it. Others will want to. That's why you might have a teacher who probably will come to class and just stay in front of the classroom, talk to you. When class is over, you go your way, he goes his way. But others too might be so much involved with your life, want to know what's going on. So there are differences there.
Okay. I think choleric bosses are difficult people to work with. They are too demanding. How do you go about them? Working with a difficult boss, a demanding boss. It's 5 o'clock, go the extra mile. It's 6 o'clock, go the extra mile. You never can leave work. How do you go about this?
Well, it's an advantage that you know that this is who he is, okay? And cholerics are task oriented. They want quality work, they are straight to the point, they are very practical. So you know that you have a boss like that. You have to also make certain adjustments there. Again, though that's how you are, maybe you are a phlegmatic or you are a melancholic, but then the situation you find yourself in, you can't just stay like that. It won't work. So you have to definitely make some few adjustments here and there. Okay. So you know that is how your boss is. Make the needed. You know that he wants quality work. He wants you to finish your work on time. Try to make those If you are phlegmatic, you will probably want to wait till last minute, and that wouldn't work for you. So what do? Just change. Make sure that you try to start your work on time so that you can finish and present it before he flares up.
Okay.
Mm.
I think our next question is also in line with this one. What do you do with someone who has a bad temper in the office? So I don't know if this is your boss or this is a co-worker, but if this is a co-worker and this person is tempting you to display certain habits which you would otherwise not want to be seen at the workplace, how do you go about this? Should I just ignore him, pretend like he's not in the workplace with me, cut off interaction with him? What if I can't do that? What if he's my line manager and everything that I do, I need to pass it to him? But he just is always in a bad mood. He doesn't seem to like me. I think it's personal. What will I do about such a situation?
Okay. If you are not the cause of his tempers, if you're not the one causing him to get irritated, you can try to you know relax. You try to keep calm, okay, and don't take his behavior to heart, okay, and find ways to stay positive. If you can't avoid him, if it's possible that you can avoid him, fine, but if it's not, you have to work with him every day. In that case, you just have to protect yourself and keep focused so that you don't get affected by his temper. It's just like the other question where you have a moody boss. Okay, if you're not the cause of his moodiness, try to pull away. Try to limit your interaction with him if possible. Okay, and protect yourself also so that you don't also become defensive or aggressive towards him. Then there's going to be a lot of conflict going on every day.
Okay. But won't this affect me in the long run if I have to interact with him over and over and absorb this energy? Won't this be bad for my mental health, for example?
Definitely, it will be. So in that case, you could ask whether the person gets to see someone, a professional. It could be that the person has issues that he's bringing to work. Okay, but if it's a character trait or if the person has some other disorders that could be causing it, then the person needs to see a professional for help.
But how will you tell someone at work that you need to see a professional?
Definitely, if you have supervisors, if the person is also under authority, then maybe whoever is his boss could step in to
Okay.
do what is needful.
Okay. Our next question, interesting one. Is there a difference between someone being lazy and not getting the job done on time or being phlegmatic? So usually those who are phlegmatic are branded as those who don't care. They are not enthusiastic about doing anything. They're just laid back, relaxed. So we'll do it. It will come on or today, tomorrow. Is it a matter of laziness or it's a matter of my temperament? So take me as I am.
I would say for phlegmatics, it's more of a temperament than just being lazy. Maybe laziness can also be part, but more of temperament because of how they are wide. Okay, so there could be a difference. I'm sure you could have other people with other temperaments who could also be lazy, maybe in some particular areas, but not throughout. Okay, so if the person is lazy, I don't know that is in general, as in lazy all through, or it's just maybe with certain things
I don't know. The question says, I'm not getting the job done on time. So I think at work,
at work.
when they assign
Okay.
tasks, I'll do it today, tomorrow, today,
Uh,
deadline people.
there could be a difference. There's definitely there's a difference there. Phlegmatic, yes, they can come across as lazy, but that's how they are. So with such a person, you need to give the person deadlines and monitor the person to make sure the person actually gets the job done.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will take forever or it might never happen.
Okay. But what if I am the person? I am the one who is the phlegmatic. How can I help myself?
Then you find yourself in the workplace and you have to produce, you have to give results, you have to um, um, manage your time well, okay? Make sure that you start your project way before, time, the deadline, so that you can, if you have to be doing this in bed, you can probably get the work done before the deadline. Okay. You need to
So
psych yourself, actually kick yourself to start doing the work. Otherwise, if you leave it, that's a bit. Or you can get somebody to probably monitor you or get you to work.
yeah, okay. You need an extra boss to help you. Okay. What is the best conflict resolution strategy I can use in my home and in my office for people with different temperaments? I know there are lots of conflict resolution strategies, but are there any that are effective for each category of temperaments?
Okay, so when it comes to the workplace or even the home, we all are different. Okay, so you can't actually have one, but maybe collaboration where you listen to each one and try to pick ideas from everybody so that we all feel heard. We feel like I'm making input. Then you can probably get everybody to come together to work to work. But if you try to say leave others out, it might not work. Okay. I don't know if I've answered the question.
Oh, yes, I'm going to
Okay.
reiterate that. So if I have two children, one is a melancholic, so it means that he's sensitive. And then there's one who is happy-go-lucky. How do I correct both of them, especially so that the melancholic, for example, won't feel as though I'm comparing him, for example, to the other sibling in the family? Must I be particular about my children and say that you are phlegmatic, I need to correct you this way? You are choleric, I need to do this when I'm managing conflict? Should I look at temperaments when
Oh
managing
yes, you
situations?
should. Um, the melancholic, for instance, would prefer that you criticize, but in a gentle way, because they are self-critical. They criticize themselves a lot. So if you go about criticizing them, you even worsen their case. Okay, so you should be gentle when you are criticizing them. Um, the choleric is somebody who believes so much in himself. He believes he can do it, he's perfect, and all of that. So if you don't take care to, if you go criticizing the person, he could be defensive. So you need to balance it. Okay, so it's important that you know the temperament of your children before you go about criticizing them.
Okay.
Okay.
In a working environment, what is the best way to motivate people with different temperaments?
Okay, so um, the temperament you have to know that each one have ways or things that will interest them. So it's like the sanguine likes fun, pleasure. So if you give the person something to do for say the whole month, a particular job, you're likely not to get him finishing because he'll get bored. So you have to either break it down for him or give him in bed so that he will keep him excited or maybe interested in the job. Okay. So you need to steady know that this person is more of a sanguine, so I have to do this for him. Um, the choleric is somebody who is practical and a task-oriented person. So for him, he doesn't need so much motivation. Okay, all you need to tell him is what he needs to do, and he can get the job done for you. Melancholics are very creative and they like to plan, okay, and very analytical and deep thinkers also. So you have to give them time, get them to be very creative. If the job is something that will utilize their creativity, you get them to do a very good job for you. And they need to know why they are doing it, the consequences of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so interested in it. Phlegmatics, um, they would usually they like peace and harmony. Okay, so if you want to get them interested in something, they need you have to be sure that it's something that they are interested in. It's a cause that they will give their all to, because otherwise they will not be motivated to even start at all. Okay, so you need to, as a boss, you need to study them, know the people you're working with, and then how to get them involved or interested in projects.
So clearly, our temperaments affect our life 360. We've been talking so far about our family life and our work life, and last week we spoke about our romantic relationships. We found that in all these areas, our temperaments are very crucial as to how we interact with other persons. So we have to find out for ourselves what our temperament is, the areas we need to work on, our strengths, our weaknesses, and that of other people that we intend to interact with, so that we get the best of each other and then we are productive, especially if we are in a work environment. All too soon, we are coming to the end of this program. 30 minutes does fly by quickly when you are having fun. But we'll end with a question which is not totally in line with today's discussion. It is on temperaments, but it takes us back to romantic relationships. We're going to throw this last one at Joan, and then we'll draw the curtains for today. So, our last question, Joan. I'm in a relationship, and my partner wants us to be together 24/7. My partner wants us to do everything together. I'm not getting any space in the relationship, and it worries me. I love my partner, but it's too much for me. What do you think this partner's temperament is? The one who always wants to be with the other one.
Well, it could be a combination. It could be, well, I shouldn't say. But if you have someone like that, whoever sent the question, I hope the person have spoken to the partner. You let him know, him or her know, this is not really helping you. Okay, you need a break. It isn't that you don't love him or her if you move away or if you go do your own things. It even sometimes helps a lot in the relationship. Okay, so maybe you need to sit whoever your partner is down, talk to him, explain why you need to also have some alone time, a me time. Okay, if he doesn't understand, and I think he should understand, whoever it is should understand. But if he or she doesn't understand, then it could be a problem. Maybe there is more to it than just he not wanting you to move away and wanting to do things with you. So in that case, you can see a professional or somebody who can maybe help him deal with his issues. Okay.
Okay. So, ending on the note of seeing a professional, if you are a youth of Corpus Christi and then you have any psychological issues, please don't hesitate to approach Joan. I hope I speak for you when I say this. Yes, please. See her if you have any more questions. She's with us every day of the week. Thank you very much for joining today's session of Time with the Youth. We appreciate your time. Same time next week, we shall meet again with a brand new series. Don't miss out. Good night.